In this part, we're going to talk about try exception in Python, and we're going to see what are the difference between exceptions and errors, how to catch and handle exceptions using try and except, how to use else, and finally, and at the end, how to create and raise your own exceptions. First thing that we're going to have is explanation about the exception. Basically, exception is an error while our program is running. You know, we got our syntax error. For example, if we want to print some word, let's say here we want to print this simple Python word in our output. If we run this, you can see it's run successfully like this. But if we have some syntax error, for example, we missed this parentheses right here at the end, if we run again, you can see we got this syntax error. But these errors happen before of our program, and our program can't be run if it has the syntax error. But in some other cases, we got something in our program, and while program running, we got some error. And that is our exception. And we got three types of exception, which first one is this zero division error, which occurs when we want to divide some number by 0. For example here, if we have this number 5 divided by 0, if we clean our output and run again, you can see we got this error of zero division error, which is our first type of exception. Then we got this value error, which occurs when we want to change the type of string to number. You know, if we want to change type of string, we use this int here, and then we put string which has number inside of this. For example, if we have this number right here and simply print this into our output, if we run, you can see we got our result as number. But let's say we got some word here instead of that number. If we have this Python, this can't be changed into the number. If we run this, our program runs, but it got this value error, which is our second type of exceptions. And then at the last, we got our type error. And this occurs when we want to add some numbers with some string. If we have number 5 right here, and we want to add that with this string of 5 right here, if we run this, you can see we got this another error of type error, and we can't add int with string. But you're going to see we're going to create our own exceptions in our program, which is very helpful for maintaining and using and coding our projects. But how we can control these exceptions to not occur and stop our programs? Well, here is where our try except come to place. And for that, we're going to have this try right here as our keyword, and we got some block right here. And this is where our main program and risky part of our program, which may have some exceptions, come to place, and we put that here. For example here, if we got this 5 divided by 0, you know we got some error. But for handling this, what we can do is having this except right here. And this is going to grab the error that this part inside of this try is going to give to us. Actually, let's have this print of try part right here to see this right here, and then we're going to accept the type of error this is going to give to us. For example, in this case, it's going to be this zero division error. And then we put these columns right here, and inside of this block, we're going to write the code that we want to run if we got this error. For example, we can have this print as message. And now this time, if we run, you can see instead of crashing our program, we got this try part run, then we got our message, which we need to correct this item here, you got number divided by 0. And after this, you can run the other codes right here. For example, let's say outside of our blocks, we want to have some other prints to say that this is the rest of program. And you can see if we run this, we got these errors right here. But again, we are able to run the rest of our program. But in some other cases that we don't use these items, if we got this 5 divided by 0 right here, and let's actually save that in some variable to see that's not syntax error. And now if we run again, you can see we can't come into this line and run our program. But by using this try except, we're able to do that item. But if we want to have automatically this print and not writing ourselves, what we can do is having this as right here and putting some name. And simply this is going to be some kind of variable holding this error. And here, instead of printing this, we can simply print this E. And this time, if we clear and run again, you can see we got this error of division by 0. You can see here we don't have any strings here in our print, but this is going to come automatically from this part. And of course, we can have other type of exceptions right here. For example, let's say we got this typecasting of the word Python. If we got only this line right here, as simple code, you can see we got this value error, but if we come back into our syntax and here instead of listening for 0 division error, we want to check for the value error. And this time if we remove and run again, you can see this time we got this error right here, and again our program runs. Pay attention, if you got this 0 division error and don't have that 0 division error and have this value error right here, if you run, again your error is going to cause this problem and stop your program. So pay attention, you need to target the type of the error that you have. And another type of exception that we got was adding some number with some string. For example, let's say we add this one with this ASD. And that is of course our type error right here. And if we clear our output and run again, you can see we got this error message printing right here. But while we're coding some programs, we don't know what error we might get in our programs in some scenarios. For example, if user is going to put some numbers and we deal with that number, we don't know what error and what exception that one is going to give to us. And for that, here we can have this simply exception right here, and this is going to grab all of the 3 types of exception that we got automatically and handle that for us. For example, in this case, here you can see we got this type error. If we run, you can see we got that cached right here, and still we got rest of our program running here. The other type was our value error, so we got this typecasting of this test word, for example. If we run this again, you can see we got handled the error and again run our program. And the last one was our division by 0, which here let's say we got this 5 divided by 0. If we run again, you can see again we got this error handled and we got the rest of our program. And the same, these 2 lines give us 3 different handling, error and exception for us. But if you want to behave differently on each exception, you can have all of them in separate except part. For example, here we can have this value error, and here we print the simply value error. And just as same as this, we can have 2 other excepts right here. And other one is going to be this 0 division error, which we're going to print that one into our output too. And at the last, we're going to have this type error. And again, we're going to print in our output. And we can have some space and blank lines between of our error handling and other part. And for that, what we need to do is this simply \n. And now this time, if we got this 0 division error, if we clean our output and run again, you can see we got this custom message right here. If we got, for example, this wrong typecasting, if we run again, you can see we got this value error. And if we want to have this type error of 1 plus string of 2, actually this should be 1. And if we run again, you can see we got this type error. And we can behave differently on different type of exceptions. But after using our try and except, it's not very professional to have rest of your program here in the outside of this try except block. And maybe you want to do something if you got this error, and you want to do different thing if you don't have error. For simplicity, we're going to remove these items right here and simply receive our exception right here, and then we're simply having this exception here too. You can see if we clean our output and run, still we got this exception word as our error right here, but we got this rest of our programs. But let's say instead of having this rest of program, we got some codes which we want these lines if the program got no errors. You can see if we put like this, if we run, we handle the error, but again we got this one printing. And for doing the thing that we want right here, we need to have this else. And again, inside of this else block, we can have the codes that we want to run if our program got no errors. So we got our main and risky code right here. If inside of this we got some error, this part is going to run, and if there was not errors or exceptions here, it's going to run this part. And this time, if we clear our output again, you can see this time we got error. If we run, you can see we got this exception right here. But if we don't have this error and run again, we got this line of if the program got no errors, run successfully right here. But again, we don't want to have the rest of the program being right here. And actually, we got some keywords for this item too, and it's going to be this finally. And basically, the code inside of this finally block is going to run no matter there was error or there was no errors. But let's say you want to create your own type of exceptions and don't limit yourself for only 3 types of exceptions. And for that, what you can have is, let's say first we're going to have some simple program. We want to have this try at the first for the risky part, of course. Then here we're going to have this age variable. Then we equal that with this input and we ask user your age. Of course, we can have this if statement right here to check if age is below 0. We tell to the user age cannot be negative. But where our try and exception part come to place? Well, here let's say we're going to calculate some simply results. And we got the variable of result and we want to get, for example, some number. For example, this 100 divided by this age. If it's going to be 0, our program is going to crash. And if it's going to be negative, that's not the right and correct logic that we want to have here. So for preventing the user puts the 0 as the number, we can have this simply except right here. And we put this 0 division error. And then inside of this, we can have this simply print and we tell user age can't be 0. And pay attention here, we need to change the type of this age to the number because when we grabbing this input, it's going to be a string. So we're going to have this int right here and then convert this age. And now here, if we want to run and pay attention because we got this input statement in our Python file, we cannot run that using run extension. Instead of that, we're going to run our program in terminal. And in VS Code, you can press this Ctrl J to bring up your terminal. And here we can have the simply Python and then the name of your file, which mine is this main.py. And if we run this, it's going to ask for the age. If we put, for example, 12, if we run, actually we got error here because we have not saved this int type of age to this age variable. And here is going to grab still this string type. So here, instead of using this type of syntax, we're going to have this age right here and we equal this age with integer and number type of this age again. And now this time if we run again, if we put for example this 12, if we run, it's going to run successfully. And actually let's say here we're going to have this else part right here that we're going to print program executed successfully. And now if we again repeat those process, you can see we got this program executed successfully. But if we clear our terminal and this time we put this 0, it's going to print this age can't be 0. Because we got this 0 division error handling right here. And if we got some negative numbers right here, for example this -12, if we run, you can see this age cannot be negative printing right here, but still we got this program executed successfully. But we don't want this thing to happen. And for that, what we can do is creating and telling our program that this is the error that you should pay attention and stop the program and don't run the else part. And here for that, we're going to use this raise keyword right here. And then inside of this, we're going to have one of 3 types of errors. For example, in this case, let's say we got this value error. Then we open our parentheses and here we pass the message that we want. For example, in this case, it's going to be this age can't be negative. And now here we got the 0 division error here. It's going to be at its place. And then we're going to have another exception handling, which this one is going to be this value error. And this time, instead of having this, we can accept this as this VE as value error. And here we simply print this VE. And this time, if we again come into our terminal, if we clear our terminal again, and let's run our program again. Here, if we put this 0, you know, we got this age can't be 0. If we run again, this time if we put this negative numbers, if we run, you can see that we got this error of age can't be negative, and this actually stopped the program for us and we don't run the rest of program right here. And of course, you know that we can have this finally right here, and inside of this, we can have anything that we want to run no matter what happens. So let's say here we got this program finished. and this is going to run always. So this was it. Now you know what exceptions are, how to catch and handle them, and how to use else and finally, and even how to raise your own exceptions and create your custom error handlings. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and actually this was part of our Python crash course, so turn on the notification bell to be aware of the next parts and next videos coming up. See you in the next one.